Hello, and welcome to another episode of Project 2J Z28. Blake got a hold of me today. He said, "Hey Ben, guess what I got in the mail?" It's my Haltech ECU. So, well, they had checked everything and they had found that the ECU was faulty. At first, Haltech had said, there's all kinds of stuff going on with it. We don't know what's going on. We'll just get you a new one. Well, he wanted to ship it to me as fast as possible, and the next day when they were going to do that, it was like 8 o'clock in the morning, and I guess the shipping department at Haltech said, "Hey, our shipping doesn't ship out until 4 o'clock." And he's like, you know what? I got the rest of the day. I'm going to look into this ECU further and see what was going on. So apparently there was some kind of silicone solenoid, I believe, that... oh man, what did Blake say? I'm going to screw this up and say it wrong, but I believe it was some kind of fuse. There was like a silicone fuse that was faulty, and it was getting it hot. And they replaced that with the new style because I guess there's been a few others that have had that issue as well. And so they replaced it with a non-silicone type fuse. Now there's some kind of bridge adapter that doesn't do it. Anyway, it's been repaired in a way that it does not carry the fault that was in it before. It just doesn't exist within the ECU anymore. And he tested it and tested it and tested it and tested it and tested it, and everything ran fine. So this is my old ECU. However, the part in it that was bad is now good. So we know for a fact it was a bad ECU. Whether the car fried the ECU and made it that way, or the fault lies within the ECU itself, I don't know. So we're going to put it in the car and give her a drive and drive and drive and drive. And if we don't have any problems, we're going to assume we're all fixed. If it does give us issues, then man, we've only got like 1 or 2 things left that we haven't checked. It was the actual throttle pedal that is out of a CTSV that's electric. That could cause it, but it's just super highly unlikely that would cause enough draw to get it hot and fry it. The other thing that it could be the wiring harness to the ECU. Now, this wiring harness to the ECU, Blake made by hand, every single little frickin' wire. I don't know how many hours he has into it. It's ridiculous. We've covered that before. We pray and hope and cross our fingers it's not that, because it would just be a giant pain for Blake to redo all that. But those are the only 2 things that would cause that thing to overheat as far as the car is concerned. So we're really hoping the ECU is the case. I reached out to Safe because in testing this at Safe Shop, Safe swapped ECUs and the problem followed. That's what's troubling. So unless he has one that also is faulty, the car may have done something else. And that's what makes me a little bit fearful that it might be the car and not the ECU. But we're just in the process of elimination. And the good news is we have the ECU, so we're gonna put it in and check it out. Okay, so I fired the car up, and it fired up. It was loading up a little bit. I had a little bit of backfire, and I called up Blake, and Blake says he has a theory on that. He thinks that because the car was really just not running right before with the ECU fault, that the fuel tables seem to be learned or relearned, basically. So he said this is one of those cases where driving the car is actually going to help fix that problem. So, as I said before, we're going to start driving it. To be specific, it was the resettable poly fuse that they replaced in the ECU. So this morning, I'm gonna unplug this guy. I've got a full charge and do some driving. And this is the first time I've driven it on the new ECU, so we'll see what we see. Well, still so far so good. She's driving normal. I will say now that my bigger concern is not just getting the car running, I'm starting to notice a bunch of other little stuff that, you know, it's just like we talked about before in the last video with the little things making got a vibration in the car, and it, you know, this is not the Corvette. It's older. It's not meant to be as smooth, but it's a little bit more rough. And I'm just thinking of little things that could help. I don't even know when the last time these tires were spin balanced, but that would definitely help. It's been years because the car's been sitting for years. That's not helping. Probably could use an alignment. Just some little minor nitnoid stuff. There's some flaws here and there that I'll address once we know for sure that the big stuff is out of the way. It seems to be running normal though. Everything from, you know, engine temperature to oil pressure, battery's looking out good. We got some other little things. Boost gauge doesn't work. Blake's gonna help me work on that later, hopefully. But as a whole, she's running and driving without any flaws so far. I've only put about 25 miles on it, so more miles will help us determine how well it's going. I get stopped up here. I think I've got it in the lowest boost setting, and I think I'm gonna give it just a little bit of boost and see how that does. Here and there, but I don't know, fuel tables or just relearning everything, but as a whole everything seemed to be okay. All right. Okay, we have put about 50 miles on it now, and it's running better. It's running like it's not dying or seems like the ECU is getting hot. However, it's not running what I would call right. It's running rough. It seems really laggy. I got into boost once or twice and it felt really, really laggy. And when the boost came on, it was really, really weak. I got no working boost gauge, so I have no idea how much boost I gave it. It was in the low setting. So I'm gonna make a data log here and send it to Safe and see what he thinks. Stopping from a stop and just like flooring it took forever to get the RPMs up, and it would only go to like 5,000 RPM. So something's not running right, and I'm not sure what. So I'm gonna do a data log, send it to Safe, and we'll see what we see. Doing when I'm in neutral, as I am in the moment. Like if I floor it, that's floored. See how it just barely comes up on the RPMs. It's like it's super laggy. I don't know. Okay, so the latest on the Camaro. So I did a data log, and I sent it to Safe, and Safe said, hey, I think that when you guys recalibrated that new throttle body and then you got the ECU put back in, that perhaps it probably dumped that, and that's the reason it might be running lousy, and it might be laggy, like extra laggy and not running right, and it might actually force the ECU to cause extra voltage to that or extra voltage to the ECU to get it hot again. So he walked me through steps of recalibrating the ECU to the Camaro, and I did all that. And at the time I did it, you know, I started it up, and sure enough, it fired right up, and it seemed to run a lot better just in that moment. It wasn't super laggy or anything. I mean, so this is kind of where we're at with it. I'm going to go take it for a test drive. It needs gas anyway, and I'm going to see. I'm just going to drive it some more. If it still seems like crap and it throws another ECU hot code to the ECU, then that's pretty much indicative at that point in time that the problem lies still within the car and not the ECU. And if that's the case, then unfortunately, as much as it sucks, the car's probably going to go back to Blake, and we're going to have to wait on him to to put that ECU wiring harness together. I've talked to him about it. He said, hey, at least, you know, if we get a chance to do it, as much as it'll suck, maybe we can make it, you know, better for next time. So here's the key. I'm going to take some fuel stabilizer with me. If it runs like crap, well, fuel stabilizer's going in with 93 octane because E85 can sometimes gum up injectors over the winter. If it runs good, then she'll get E85 because I plan on driving it more if it's good. So fingers crossed, we'll go for a ride. Okay, before we start, we'll just verify, because before it was giving me the ECU hot light error, no DTCs. So we know right now she's good. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that recalibrating that throttle body keeps her good. So we'll go take a little drive and see how she does. So here's the moment of truth. We're done driving. No DTCs. Which means, at this very moment, it could be the Project 2J's E28 is working. She might be fixed. That's pretty exciting. I won't lie, pretty happy about that fact. Now, I haven't really put a lot of miles on it. That was roughly 15 miles. So I really want to drive it some more and just kind of verify. All right, I just got done putting a bunch more miles on it. And unfortunately, we've got the red trouble code of death, ECU temperature high. So unfortunately, I think that's gonna put the nail in the coffin on her. So that's what I have to say about that. Well, I just stopped at Sean's house, and I was wondering why I got less than 10 miles a gallon. I guess that kind of makes a difference when you're leaking fuel.
I mean, you're not going to need your stabilizer now.
Right? Heck, I just leave the ignition on. It'll just leak it out on its own naturally. Yeah, well, fortunately it's E85 and not premium. It's got a higher flash point, but not cool she's leaking fuel. I don't know where it's this side. It almost seems like it's coming from underneath, but yeah, it starts up top somewhere. So apparently, if the ECU getting hot wasn't enough, it decides to pee fuel everywhere too. This car, sometimes, I swear, it does not want to run. It does not want to run 10 times Tuesday.
Your feed line down here is soaked.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and...
Yeah, don't sit down in it, please.
I'm not gonna. I'll key the ignition and that should prime the fuel system. You ready?
Yep.
You got fuel.
Nope, it's coming from up top. Okay, kill it.
Okay. All right.
Okay, go ahead and shut the door. Okay, it's coming from up high. It's running down the... It's running down. Way... Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, I see it.
Fitting at the back of the rail.
Yeah, I see it too. Fitting in the back of the rail. Yep. Well, that's at least fairly easy, hopefully. Sean. Thank goodness Sean's here, so he's going to try and... It seems like it's coming out the back of the fuel rail for the fitting, so we're going to try and at least pinch it down so I can make it home, a 30-minute drive home.
AN wrenches. I'm the only performance car guy in the world that probably doesn't own a single AN wrench.
I've got some. I can get it home and try and snug it up, but man, that's really leaking bad. I was just wondering, because I just put fuel on it on my way over here, and yeah, it's bigger than that.
It's gotta be that.
Yeah, it was. I clocked in at like 9.9 miles a gallon, and I don't remember it ever getting that bad. Even on E, I was still pulling in like 14, 15, and even 16 miles per gallon, and that was railing the crap out of it. So, well, yeah, the reason for it is it's been spewing fuel. I'm just lucky. I've been putting E85 in it, not pump gas. And I put pump gas and it hit something,
yeah,
that could easily light up.
I mean, fortunately, the exhaust is on the opposite side.
Yeah, well, that was by design of Blake. So, thank you, Blake, for saving my keister once again. Tighten it down. Let's give it a pinch again. Ready, buddy? Yeah. Okay.
She ain't dripping.
That's good.
I I tell you what, that thing's bitched up anyways.
What is?
That fitting.
Oh,
Yeah,
before you touched it?
Oh yeah, it's chewed up.
Well.
Look at it. Just take a look at it. I've barely messed with it. I've barely touched it. But you can see it's chewed up.
Yeah.
That's just a fallacy of where it's located.
Right. That just happens. Look, before I got my anodized aluminum ones.
How long is your aluminum one?
It's like that long.
So you can actually get it in
yeah,
there.
I should, as long as it's big enough. I should be able to tighten it more when I get home. Should I need to, but...
yeah, I would definitely recommend...
Okay, giving it a good snug.
Give it a good snug down, but I think right now, I'm going to say you're...
Now I'm kind of pissed. I bought a fire extinguisher just for the car, and because I haven't had the car, it's been sitting on my workbench at home. I don't have it with me.
Tell you what, I've got one I can give you.
All right, I might take you up on that, just given the circumstances.
No, I would. Last thing you want is...
Oh my gosh, yes. Let's not actually.
I tell you what, if something like that happened, I would cry with you.
Let's not go there. She's got enough problems without lighting her on fire. Okay, so limping at home from Sean's right now, and she's not running awesome. It died coming out of his housing edition, but we verified like 3 times. He's at least got the fuel leak good enough that I should be able to make it home, hopefully. I've got the laptop going with the Haltech. I'm going to send another data log to Safe and just see if he has any other ideas. Because at this time, we're probably going to be at the mercy of Blake, and whenever he's ready to take the car. And unfortunately, as bad as this sucks, like it's probably going to turn into a winter project, I'm guessing at this point. So this might be the end of the year for chances for Project 2JZ28 to get running properly. Yeah, she's running a little bit rough. Gar. Hopefully Safe can sort some of the stuff out. I'm sure it's due to whatever why the ECU is getting hot, although I'm not throwing the DTC yet. I don't know. Stuff to still be figured out for sure. I was really hoping we might be good there for a second, but not that lucky tonight. So anyway, I guess forever stay tuned for more. Maybe one day maybe the Camaro will run how it's supposed to. But for now, she still is going to be an enigma of figuring out what the heck's going on with